right, hello everyone, and welcome to the seventh session of Star Trek Groundskeepers. It's been almost a month, but we're back and eager to resume where we left off. If this is your first time tuning in, Groundskeepers is a unique game of Star Trek adventures in that the players are all Undine, or as you may know them, Species 8472. They are also in the same sort of shared canon that I have going on between all my Star Trek games of October, Matahari, and games like that. So you don't need to have really watched any of those games to enjoy this one, but you're going to catch references and nods if you do. And if you do want to play catch up, the VODs are on YouTube and most of the popular podcast solutions. Announcements. Yes, season 2 of Deep Space October kicks off this coming Tuesday. And I've also spun up several new Cyberpunk Red campaigns. Definitely give those a look. And second announcement is today I will be experimenting with hand technology. So we'll see how that works out. But with that said, let's go around and have my two players introduce themselves, starting with John.
My name's John. I also have hand technology. It's kind of cool. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and I play Tabris on the wonderful ship called the Troust.
And my name's Brian. I play Rez, the engineer slash scientist aboard, and I just have stump technology. It's I don't know.
Nice. And of course, if you don't know me by now, I'm ELH the Game Master. And let's go ahead and run our fancy little intro. All right, welcome back. So normally I would have the players do a opening log like a captain's log in true Star Trek fashion, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to keep the quote-unquote in-universe time nebulous. So we're just going to actually jump straight into play. To set the scene, all of you, Rez and Tabris, you are currently in the bridge section of the GV Troust. And Troust has decided to try their hand at some home cooking. Now, when I say home cooking, I don't mean a cake. I don't mean, something that would be relatively easy. No, Troust went the whole full 9 yards and has tried to cook an actual chicken. Now, I say that and like a cake is somehow less difficult than a chicken, but you do have to remember this is Species 8472. They don't know how to cook a chicken. So what's put in front of you guys is vaguely chicken shaped. Let's just say you're looking at it and you're not sure whether or not you can eat it or not. I would put it that way. But Troust's avatar seems pretty pleased with themselves. And let's go ahead and start there. So yeah, Troust puts the quote unquote chicken down in front of you and just says, I think I finally got it this time. And I didn't burn the kitchen this time.
I mean, good work.
Troust, this is very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen chicken with scales.
That's not scales, that's the breading.
Oh, breading. Yes.
Is this the one that we use a fork and knife for?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I've seen humans kind of like go in with their hands and just sort of rip it off the bone. Honestly, I don't know.
Wait, there's bones in there?
Well,
Tabris is going to eat it like it's amazing, and he is going to do his best to just stomach it because of all the stuff they put Trouse through.
Okay. Roll me a, just so we can get you some momentum, hopefully. Go ahead and roll me a control and a command, difficulty of 0.
Let's see. Parasitology?
No, it's not a parasite, but nice try.
Can I do the same thing, but use espionage or infiltration?
Maybe. I would give you espionage, maybe.
Wait, or can I use survival?
I would give you survival. Yeah, I could give you survival.
Yes. What was the roll again?
Control and command.
I was also going to try human trivia, but no.
Nah, human trivia will not help you here. All right, well, there's one success for each of you, so that's 2 momentum. Honestly, it's not that bad. I mean, if anything, it's bland, but it's chicken, so it's definitely edible.
Rez will also like break the bones and eat those too because he's not sure how much of this you're supposed to eat, and he's just like, "This is so good." Oh,
Rez, you're not supposed to eat the bones.
Says you. They're just that tasty, Tabris.
Well, I mean, this is really good. This tastes just like chicken.
And Trial's avatar sort of narrows their eyes at you, Tabris, and says, "What's that supposed to mean? What do you mean it's
when humans don't know what something tastes like, they always say it tastes like chicken. But this is chicken, and therefore it tastes like chicken."
She just the avatar stares at you for an uncomfortable amount of time, and then the eyes open up wide, and the avatar sort of turns around to face the view screen and says, "Okay, putting chicken aside for a moment, are you seeing this too?" And both of you look at the view screen. You were at warp previously, but now the stars are stationary.
Oh, no. Rez?
Tabris, you're flying.
Yeah, but I got chicken all over my fingers.
Right now, I've been using a knife and fork, so I check and see. I pull up on the panel what's going on with the engines.
Engines are fine, actually. You're supposedly going at warp 9.9 right now.
This is gonna sound silly, but according to the engine readouts, we're still moving. Trust me, if you ever run a diagnostic on the engine readouts.
One moment. No, they're perfectly fine. We should be going like, what's the human expression? A bat out of hell?
Do we want to see what happens if we stop, Rez?
Let's think about the implications of the fact that the stars have become motionless. That, in theory, means the entire universe is moving at warp 9.9, which means that if we drop our warp field, where do we end up?
That's a good question. Wiping off all the chicken.
I mean, what's the worst that could happen if we dropped out of warp and the entire universe were still moving at warp?
Well, first of all, no, I would notice if the universe went to warp. I feel like that would challenge a lot of preconceptions about how non-fluidic space works. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, I feel like that's a loaded question. A lot of bad things can happen. I mean, I could start listing them.
Dropping the impulse.
All right. So Tabris, you take things down to impulse, and you do hear the engine in the back sort of rev down. But almost immediately what happens is the entire ship sort of lurches to the left very violently, and you have to sort of scramble for your feet. And as this all happens, the Troust begins to spin end over end, and more or less is just a turbulent sort of carnival ride without any seatbelts whatsoever. So I need you both to roll me a fitness and a security, please. Difficulty of 1 here.
I know a certain somebody who is not going to do well at this roll. Survival as a focus.
I'll give it to you. Sure. Well, that's 4
Wow!
successes. Nice. So that's 3 momentum. You're up to 5.
Wow!
Well.
I'm going to use one of these many momentum to pad my roll.
All right.
Oh
Wow.
God!
Wow. That's very impressive actually. You're not only capped on momentum, but you have 3 floating. Would you like to maybe spend 2 of it to create some sort of advantage?
What's the cap?
The cap is 6.
Okay, just making sure. Let's spend it to have the gyroscopic the gyroscopic nature of the ship self-right.
Or let's synchronize the inertial dampener so that it doesn't matter what the outside of the ship is doing. The gravity is stabilized.
All right. So you slam your hand on the console as you manage to get back to it, and sure enough, after a moment, everything settles down. But you look outside, and the stars are not moving still. And Troust's avatar hasn't moved the entire time because it's just a projection. It's not really affected by inertia. But Troust just sort of points at the view screen and goes, "That is not right. That's not right at all."
What are you seeing? I run a scan.
Okay. Roll me. Well, what kind of scan? Let me ask that question.
Just a wide field. Tell me what's going on in normal space around us scan. So I guess short range, but wide band.
Okay. I would like you to roll me a reason and science. The Troust may assist you with a sensors and science.
I'll roll for the Troust.
I will not have a focus on this, I don't think. Looking at my focuses, I'm going to say no. Oof.
So I'm going to let this succeed at cost, and the cost is I'm going to take 2 threat. What you see, Rez, is you do see some form of a subspace anomaly fairly close to the Troust. Maybe about 3 AU out if we needed to put a distance on it. In terms of what you're seeing about the anomaly, it's quite odd. It's almost as if it's sucking the energy out of nearby space and storing it, almost like a capacitor might in real life.
Troust shut down all non-essential systems.
Okay, done. And the lights dim, and you can just barely hear the churning of life support, even though life support isn't really needed.
All right, Tyrus, looks like there's some sort of subspace anomaly that's consuming energy. And I would prefer that we didn't drain our batteries while we try and figure out what it's doing. So,
okay, so dropping the impulse was good.
I mean, maybe. I guess assuming that we had actually stopped moving and that it was just consuming our
I think
momentum.
That's what's going on.
The real question is then, why aren't why? How did it? Why? The answer is the question I have. I have so many questions, honestly.
Most of these questions sound sciencey, and he looks at Rez.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of sciencey questions.
Why don't you do this, Rez? Give me an insight science, difficulty of 3. And this will represent you trying to parse all the information you have so far, and whether or not the Troust is able to figure out anything on their own. Let's see. So let's have the Troust do a computers in science here.
All right.
Hey, there's your 3 successes. So what happens is Troust puts up on the view screen sort of a side view of where the Troust was in comparison to the anomaly. And you're looking at it moving back and forth, Rez, and what you notice is that you sort of came in at the anomaly, and when you stopped, when you went to impulse, you sort of sprung backwards and then back to where you started the impulse drop, if that makes any sense.
Right. So essentially we're attached by elastic to this subspace anomaly.
Correct.
All right. Which in theory means that we need to gun it hard. If warp 9.9 wasn't fast enough, we need some sort of explosive burst of speed that'll get us far enough away that the elastic snaps. At least that would be my initial. Tabris, take a look at these readings and tell me what you think. And I swipe over so that the readings show up on his console.
Tabris is scratching his chin, looking at the results.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're seeing the same thing I am, it looks like we are we're in some sort of pull with this, like a tug of war with this anomaly, which means that if we want to get out, we're gonna need to snap that pull.
And then Trouse sort of raises a hand and goes, we might have a problem. That pointing at the view screen again and decloaking, actually maybe not even 2 kilos off your port bow, a Romulan scimitar decloaks and opens a hailing frequency to you.
On screen.
Oh, all right. Hello, friends.
So, appearing on screen, and we'll just have Trouse avatar sort of take a hike for a moment. But appearing on screen is indeed a Romulan. Now, the Romulan is wearing a stereotypical admiral's garb, which is a bit more fancy than your usual sort of, like in TNG, we sort of see the pads, whether those really big shoulder pads with the tapering down to the front. This is more, shall we say, Starfleet in design, where it still has the browns and the greens of a Romulan uniform, but it also has like gold trimming. It actually looks a little bit form-fitting. It looks decent, if I can put it that way. But the woman herself has sort of short brown hair, shows off her ears. She has most of the hair back in a ponytail. And uncharacteristic of most Romulans, she sort of has freckles that dot not only her face, but also her shoulders that are visible. And she sort of looks between the two of you and says, hello, I am Admiral Valaka of the RRW Satai. You don't look like Undine. You look like your Federation.
We get that a lot, don't we? I'm Co-Captain Rez. This is Co-Captain Tabris of the, what are we, the Undine ship Troust? Is it one of the, the GV, Groundskeeper vessel, right?
Right.
We're in a loose sort of, we're loosely affiliated with the Federation, but we're not them.
You're the Groundskeepers faction, then.
Indeed, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see that intel is still correct. Well, I decided to uncloak because I believe you're now trapped in the same anomaly we are.
Yeah, looks like. I can share my readings with you if you want to share your readings with me. Maybe see
Certainly.
if we can come up with some. All right.
And Valaka sort of nods at someone off screen, and after a moment, the data from the Satai comes in. It's more or less the same that you see on the Troust, that there is some sort of a spring effect here, or some sort of elastic effect here.
Have you, Admiral, have you tried anything yet?
Well, to put it bluntly, I've tried pretty much everything that my staff can think of. First thing we tried was we tried to just sort of use QSD. That didn't work. Second thing we tried was shutting down everything and coasting on thruster power. That didn't work. Third thing we tried was overloading the singularity core until we were going nearly warp 10. That didn't work either. And then the last thing we tried was just cloaking and waiting till someone else showed up, and I'd say that's working so far.
Fair.
Okay, well, very first thing we should do is release some sort of buoy so that, other people, know that this is here.
Trust me, you've got one of those, right?
Yeah, I do. Problem, though.
Mm-hmm.
The anomaly isn't really letting anything go, and she sort of puts it on the screen again, next to Valaka. And what you see is that not even subspace communications are getting out of this anomaly.
Hmm. Well,
How far from us is the Romulan ship?
They
Couple clicks.
are, if I had to put it in game terms, they're at short range. If you want like an actual like distance, it's about 3 or 4 clicks away. So really close, all things considered.
I mean, honestly, I have what I feel like is a pretty simple solution, so there's no way that it works, but I got to suggest the obvious first. What if we go to warp and then open a singularity to the fluidic space behind us, so that when we drop out of warp and get rocketed back towards the anomaly, we just zip into a fluidic space and then we're out of its grasp.
And Admiral Valaka sort of just looks at you all and maybe rubs her chin in thought and goes, "Well, my only question is, how are your deflectors even working right now? Because ours aren't." And you sort of look at the data res. Yeah, their deflectors are not working. Yours are just barely working. So, such as they
Uh,
are right now, that means you can actually open a singularity.
well, of course we can't. That would have been too easy. I mean, there should still be a way. Oh, yes, Tavros, I see your hand up.
I have an idea.
Well,
This is a lot like a really old human thing called a Chinese finger trap. Sometime in the late 21st century, they renamed it to be just finger trap, and then they went back. It's a whole weird thing. But anyway, what I think we should do is our ships face away from each other, and we slowly back into each other, and then jump to warp as quickly as we can after relieving the pressure.
yeah, but if neither of us has deflector shields, then we're not going to want to jump to warp. We'll explode. We'll explode at the first piece of space dust that strikes our hulls.
Ah, that's well, let's see if we can get further apart from each other. Now that we have a point of reference, each other, we should at least be able to tell what works and what doesn't.
And yeah, Valaka sort of gets the hint, says something off screen in Romulan, and sure enough, the two ships start to move apart. So you're maybe initially like this close together, and you maybe get about half that distance away from each other before you can't move any further. So you were at like 3 to 4, now you're more at like 9 to 10.
Trust, what are our tabras? What are our tabras? Jesus, what are our power levels?
Well, based on what you told me to do, I've shut down nearly everything, and I'm using minimal power to do everything. So,
No, what I mean is, like, are we losing? Are we gradually losing power like I expected, or?
no, our power's staying fairly consistent.
Hmm. So this won't be a matter of overloading the subspace anomaly with energy, which is my second thought. If it's just storing it, Trust, give me an in-depth scan of the center of the anomaly.
All right, this time we are going to do a full sensor scan. So this is going to be a reason science, and the trials will assist you with sensor science. Overall difficulty on this is a 4. And you do
I
have
would like to
cap
spend
momentum
some
right now.
momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Let me spend 3 of those to get 4 dice.
Okay.
I got
Well,
you 2 from the ship. That's all I can do.
Well,
that's pretty good, actually.
I can't talk my. I don't think I can talk my way into a focus here. So,
Not that
I'll
you
just get
need
us
it.
those momentum back.
Yeah,
Damn.
so let's see. So that is 7 successes. So you get, you're back at cap. So I'm going to let you have 2 free questions on this based on what I tell you next, and
Okay.
we'll see what happens. So what you're seeing is I'm trying to figure a good way to put this without spoiling the mystery. So you know what a black hole is, right? Sort of a plane where the gravity is almost, or the mass is almost infinite to the point that it drags down everything into the black hole.
Mhm.
This is something similar where it's just in subspace. So it's pulling in everything in subspace into the anomaly itself, to the point where it's storing the energy, but there's also some sort of feedback loop where the energy gets to a certain build level and then it releases like a particle fountain would.
Oh, so there's not just like a essentially a subspace battery floating out there.
If I had to put it in one way, it's more like a subspace spring where you can compress it, but eventually when you let go of that pressure, it releases that energy.
But it's still anchored at one point in actual space.
Correct.
Hmm.
And Admiral Valaka sort of just looks at Tabris and says, well, while your comrade is figuring out what to do, would either of you care for, I don't know, do groundskeepers eat? Is that a thing you do?
Oh yeah, would you like some chicken?
And her eyes sort of narrow a little bit and goes, chicken. What? Where did you get? I Sure. I would love some chicken.
Well, would you like to come over here? I can prep a table.
Um, I probably shouldn't leave my ship. Why don't you come to me with your chicken?
Can I bring some chicken over there, Rez?
Uh, yeah, that's fine. I mean, as long as Troust is okay with you taking her home cooking elsewhere.
All right.
You just hear a voice omnipresent that says, yeah, share my chicken. I want others to try it.
Troust, Troust gets a big old plate of chicken.
All right. Now, is it just Tabris that's going over, or Rez are you coming along with?
I can't in good conscience send Tabris over to a Romulan vessel all by himself. He'll get himself tortured, and then have to fight his way out. It'll be like a whole thing. So I know I go with him.
Okay. So, the Admiral feeds Troust beaming coordinates, and sure enough, you all feel sort of the beam of transport. And when you rematerialize, you are actually not on a transporter pad. You are in the Admiral's Ready Room. Now, for those who can't see the stream right now, I'll do a little bit of description. So, you know how Picard always had that sort of lionfish aquarium tank in sort of the corner of his office? Well, there's almost an entire wall dedicated to a terrarium of some sort. There's various sorts of Romulan lizards and little bits of wildlife in there. If I had to do an actual size of the Ready Room, it's easily 3 or 4 times what Picard had on the Enterprise D. So it's really open. There's multiple couches and chairs. The desk itself is sort of off to the side on the left, to where it's not really encroaching on the middle of the room. And the Admiral's just sort of seated at her desk with her arms up on the desk and fingers steepled in front of her. And as you materialize, she says, good. I'm good to see that transporters are still working. Yes, gentlemen, welcome to my ship.
Well, thanks for your hospitality.
Oh yes. Here, our ship made it.
And
he just puts it down on the counter. I didn't use a fork and a knife, but Rez did.
And I think Valaka just sort of pulls off like a wing and just very cautiously brings it to her mouth and takes a bite. And she chews it for a little bit and goes, okay, never had chicken before, but I suppose it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, as humans would say, it tastes like chicken.
Don't tell our ship, but it was a little bland. You might want to put some spices on it.
You hear an omnipresent voice. You left your communicators on. Standard away team procedure.
I thought it was wonderful the way that it is.
The bones are the especially best part.
You're not supposed to eat the bones.
Damn it.
See, I knew that. And Tabris is going to go over to the terrarium.
And I think Velaka, again, uncharacteristic of a Romulan, she actually cracks a smile at Rez and goes, "I have a rather interesting relationship with your ship. I wish I could say the same with mine."
But does your ship not have a ship AI?
No, I mean, we have a main computer, but nothing that is like yours. But there's a reason I had you beam here and not to a transporter room. And she gets the lines on her face increase. She gets a little bit more serious in tone and says, "We've been trapped here for the better part of a month at this point.
Oof.
And let's just say crew morale is not great. To the point that even though it won't accomplish anything, I have my suspicions that a mutiny is imminent."
Oh. Well, I don't envy that.
That doesn't sound very fun. Rez and I would never have a mutiny because, I mean, we're co-captains, so it makes it easy.
Yeah.
And Tabris is tapping on
Have
the
you
glass.
considered just making everybody in the ship a captain?
I'm not sure that would do anything. That might make it worse.
Oh. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't really understand how Romulan society works. Working on humans. We'll get to Romulans eventually, I bet. All right, so I mean, I think then it's what you're saying is it's time sensitive that we get out of this anomaly, and we probably don't just want to just stay here.
I mean, I don't want to be here any longer than I have to. Do you?
No. Trouse.
Well, we met you guys. That's kind of cool.
Trouse,
Yes.
if we redirected the entire ship's power to the deflectors, would we be able to open a hold a passage to fluidic space?
And Trouse sort of works the numbers for a moment and goes, "It is theoretically possible, but I would just simply point out that until about 30 minutes ago, a subspace spring wasn't theoretically possible. So, working on a whole lot of unknowns here."
Fair. It's just I was thinking that if I remember correctly, there's like a type of particle that'll bust up subspace, isn't there? I remember reading about it in some of the information we got from the when we ran into the crew from Deep Space October. Tabris, where did we put all that stuff?
But what? Sorry, I was
stuff.
looking at the lizards.
Looking at the lizards, yes. Where did we put the stuff we got from October? I can't remember what directory we filed that under. I have a bunch of like data.
It's under D.
Oh. All right. Just the letter D? Is that there's no subheading?
Well, it's under D for Deep Space October.
All right. Travis, can you consult the directory under Deep Space October? And wasn't there a log mention of some sort of theoretical? I want to say proton or at least some sort of particle that affects subspace.
And Trouse again works for a little bit and replies, "Well, I'm going to be more specific because there's a lot of particles that come from subspace, but in terms of one that disrupts subspace, there's a few, but they're kind of exotic. Not something I would be able to create."
Right. Okay. Well,
but
I mean,
I would
the
point
Romulans
out,
may have something.
Yes, exactly. The Romulans may have something.
All right. Can you forward all the data we have on the exotic particles that might disrupt subspace to the Romulans? Let's see if they forward it to Admiral. Did you want to give her a place to send that for
And
you?
she gives you the frequency to beam it over to. And after a moment, the Admiral sort of, scratches her chin and goes, "Now that I think we could do. The only problem is it's going to require destroying our singularity core to do it."
Oh.
Well, I mean, we could tow them wherever they need to go, right?
Well, that's your primary energy source, right?
Yes, we rely on a contained singularity for power generation.
Trust, do we have anything on board that we could use to substitute ship's main power? I'm going to say probably not.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So yeah, I mean, we're happy to take you somewhere. Just out of curiosity, size comparison wise, the scimitar is enormous, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Let's actually go to this map because you can see just how enormous it is. Here we are.
Yeah, all
right. You're that little scale 4. The Satai is a big old scale 7.
Yeah. I mean, we could tow you. Slowly.
Isn't the main concern just getting out of here? I mean,
Yes.
Even if you had to limp out of here, wouldn't that be better than?
Well, but here's the question. So if I'm remembering my science correctly, whatever the disruption of subspace is, it'll shut down warp engines, which means the only way out of here would be for us to tow them through fluidic space to get out of range of the subspace disruption. So I mean, in theory, I guess we would have had to do that regardless. Otherwise, you'd open yourself up to a whole world of hurt from other Undine. There's just like a whole. They do not appreciate unescorted guests in our space.
Yes, let's just say that you groundskeepers are quite the anomaly.
Yeah, I would say that's probably about accurate. Traus, can we even open a large enough? We can open a large enough wormhole or not wormhole, but tear to fluidic space to get the Satai through. Yeah.
Do you want it in one piece?
Yeah.
Wait. Don't speak for the admiral. Admiral, did you want your ship to be in one piece when we take it through the? Can your ship split into like halves or something?
No. My ship is yes, one piece would be preferable.
Federation ships just do this thing where they like split into a bunch of pieces. So I thought I would check. I don't know.
Why would
you
ever split up a ship? Why? I mean, I've seen Galaxy schematics. I can understand splitting into 2, but I've also seen these crazy things called Prometheus classes that do 3. Why would you do that? Why? There's literally no point to doing that.
Well, I mean, technically, we've split Troust into 2.
I don't think losing an Elron counts as splitting into 2. That's losing a piece. Not that we've done that. Shut up in front of the admiral. So yeah, all right. Well, then yes, Troust is a short answer to your question. The answer is yes. We'd like to take the Satai through in one piece.
Well, I guess your option then is you're gonna need to have a power transfer from the Satai singularity core to give us the juice we need.
Okay, let's pretend like the Satai, when we were trying to open this portal, didn't have a singularity core anymore. Like, let's just like theorize. Is there any way that we can generate enough power to open a large enough hole, a large enough tear to fluidic space? Even if it involved like maybe we go over to fluidic space and like burn a little bit of that off, or maybe we draw from the.
If this were a board ship, I'd tell you, yeah, we could do it. But it's just me and you too, so that's a big old no.
All right. All right. So maybe we don't. Maybe we keep the disrupting subspace and disabling our warp drives for like the last resort.
Yeah, I mean, you're really smart, Rez. I'm sure we'll think of something else.
The problem is that I'm not super familiar with subspace because I mean, like I did a bunch of like void space studies just before I came out, into the void space. And I mean, I understand how a warp drive works, where like it makes these pockets of subspace that you put your ship into, and you adjust how the ratios work so that the bubble is propelled forward by its imbalance of. But here's the thing: subspace is kind of like it's like a third space. I already know about fluidic space, and now void space. I just didn't. I mean, I kind of skimmed the books about subspace. Not gonna lie to you. All right. Well, I guess maybe I should go back to the ship and do some reading.
Well, as you say that, a chime begins to come from the admiral's desk, and she sort of looks down at it and goes, "Well, gentlemen, you remember what I said about that whole mutiny thing?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How is that now?
Yeah, apparently
Well, we
the
don't wanna
engine room
interrupt.
has declared independence from the rest of the ship because we're not able to get any contact or any commands down to the engine room.
Do you think they would like some chicken?
Would that make them feel better?
The Admiral doesn't even justify that with a response, I don't think. She just sort of sighs and goes, look, maybe this is me assuming, but I mean, I'm assuming you're just as hard to kill in these forms as your normal ones?
Tabris is absolutely just as hard to kill as he would be in his normal form.
Well,
Res tends to attract lots of pain.
It turns out that this human form is frailer than I would maybe prefer. But that's all right. You know what? I'm willing to give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen?
and
You asked that earlier. It didn't go very well.
No, here's the thing. I figure we just get vented into space. I mean, worst comes worst. We'll just swim back over to the. There's nothing to. All right, we'll get the trust to pick us up. She can't move. All right, we're in some real trouble.
Well, gentlemen, do you need weapons? And she sort of looks kind of at your belt to see if you brought anything with you.
I mean, I have my trusty Undine energy weapon that has no name.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have the trusty Undine energy weapon as well.
Well, here's the question, because it's been a while. Have we actually ever fired those things?
We have not.
No, yeah, we totally did. We fired them at the.
We did?
Yeah, remember we fired them. I think to make a ditch for those guys on the fire planet.
Right, but did you ever actually shoot anything living?
We
with
never
them?
did them for damage.
No, because I think we accidentally threw yours into the lava before we ended up fighting them. So we fought those other things hand to hand. I don't think we've ever fired them at anything alive.
All right, so I think what happens is you just sort of look at your devices and kind of like go, "Oh, you mean this?" And the Admiral just sort of squints at them and goes, "What does that even do? Is that an anti-proton device?"
Yeah.
You do realize that if you don't hit the people in the engine room with that, you could literally shoot through the entire hull.
So for us, is that a big deal for you guys? Because
yes,
that's
yes,
not a
it is.
huge deal for. Well, I mean,
maybe we can use.
What kind of weapons do you have?
One moment.
This poor woman.
This poor woman. So Admiral Valaka gets up and walks over to the terrarium, and she actually taps a few spots on the wood beneath the terrarium, and a hidden compartment opens up, and she reaches in and picks out 2 Romulan disruptor pistols, and walks back over and puts them on the desk in front of you and says, "Why don't you use those for the time being?"
All right.
Yes,
can do.
You're not exactly under my command, gentlemen, but get my engine room back, because I think that's going to be key to all of our success here in getting out of this subspace spring alive.
Sounds good to me.
Are you up for this, Rez?
I mean, listen, if all they have are these winky disruptors, we should be fine.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do a little bit of rolling here just to sort of figure out where you're going and how you get there. So the first things first is I need to know, Tabris, what is your insight security like?
Insight is 7, but security is 4.
Okay. I'd like you to give me an insight security.
I also have constantly watching.
Okay.
If that matters.
It does, actually. Give me an insight security difficulty of 2 as you study the MSD/floor plan of the Satai to see how you could get to the engine room.
And I will go ahead and give you
can we
one
not
threat.
site to site? Can we not site to site transport?
No, I think I forgot to say that they put up a force field around the entire engine block. So,
and shipboard tactical systems
actually would apply here, I believe.
Or security, either one, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So unfortunately, unless you want a determination that.
No.
Okay. So yeah, Tabrish, you're sort of looking at the floor plans, and none of it makes sense. Why did they put a science lab there? Why did they put Jeffrey's tubes that don't connect to one another? None of this makes sense to you.
What if we went along the outside of the ship and came in through the engine exhaust? They're not using it.
And the admiral just sort of blinks several times at you and goes, "You want to crawl through the impulse duct?"
Well, I don't want to, but apparently Tavros can't figure out how to get there through the rest of the ship. So this seemed like the most direct route.
It is a pretty solid plan.
Look, and she sort of highlights a route on the MSD, and she says, "All right, we're up here, okay? We're here. You want to go here, then you're gonna go down, then you're gonna go over, and then you're gonna go straight down to the engineering core from there." Problem is that based on the numerous reports that are now showing up on my desk, here, and here along your path are all mutiny sort of individuals.
You're coming, right? Why are you giving us directions? You're gonna come with us. We're not just gonna go and
Because if
rescue
I
your ship.
leave here, they can get their hands on my command codes.
Oh, are you like carrying them? This is like one of
Oh,
those.
do you have them
Wait,
on
wait,
a
wait.
sticker?
Ooh, ooh,
Do you have
ooh,
them
wait,
on a
wait.
sticker under your desk like I do?
Wait,
No.
what? Wait, Tabris told me about this. Is this like the nuclear football? You've got like there's a thing, and you carry it around, and then you have to type your command codes into it to make all the weapons go.
Not quite in such a No, you really do not know how Romulans work, do you?
Not a clue.
I just know you're a lot like the old human Romans.
No. Let me put it to you this way. If they get their hands on me, they will take the ship. Therefore, I'm going to stay on deck 1 here in my ready room where I know it's safe, or at least that they have to fight through the entire bridge crew to get to me.
Right. Okay. So, but we, two people who have no vested interest. I mean, I guess we kind of need their engine to shut down the thing as our last resort.
Mm-hmm.
All
Well,
right.
and
you know what?
we can make friends.
Exactly. I was gonna say, you know what? And it's also a good friend making thing. All right, we'll rescue your ship, but you got to be friends with us afterwards.
As long as you don't make me eat that chicken again.
Troust, you may not be friends with Troust then, but you'll be friends with us. All right, Taris, lead on as our chief security.
I'll leave the chicken here with you.
And as you all exit the ready room and start going through the corridors, you just sort of see...
Actually, Tabris is going to pull off a leg of chicken. He wants to at least offer it to the mutineers.
Nice. Nice. So you just very subtly see the Admiral sort of push the plate of chicken over towards the replicator. Not quite dematerializing it, but getting it in the right direction. But yeah, we're going to sort of skip ahead just a few minutes to you all arriving in the corridors of the Satai. And it's one of those things where you start to come around a corner, but you catch yourselves before you're seen. And you see that there are 2 Romulan Centurions sort of standing guard in the hallway. They both are equipped with disruptor pistols, and they are otherwise sort of keeping an eye out. Now, what I would say is that Tabris, this is one of those spots that the Admiral indicated was sort of under the hold of the mutineers.
I'm way better at hitting things with my fists than I am with a gun.
Do we want to charge him?
And by way better.
Well, let's. I mean, I would hate to shoot them just to shoot them. You know?
Do you want me to pop my head out and see if they're mutineers?
Yeah, here. And Tabris hands him the chicken leg.
All right. In which case, Rez will tuck the disruptor pistol in like the back of his waistband, and then step out with the chicken and be like, "Greetings, Centurions. I have been sent by your admiral to find out whether or not you are participating in the mutiny down in engineering."
And Tabris is getting ready to shoot.
I come bearing chicken.
The Romulan Centurion nearest to you immediately raises his disruptor pistol and fires. Doesn't hit
Oh,
you
but I
though.
don't even have a. Oh, okay.
Hits the chicken. The chicken is vaporized.
Oof,
And with
so
that, we are actually going to go into structured combat.
not a fan of the chicken, huh? All
Apparently, not a fan of the chicken. All right.
Hey, I was gonna ride that chicken train as long as you let me.
I knew it. I knew it. I had to get rid of the chicken early. I'm like, he's gonna keep throwing it at people. All right, but it is either Rez's or Tabras's turn first. So which of you would like to act?
Go ahead, Rez.
I run up and punch that guy super hard in his dumb Romulan face.
Okay. So that is, of course, a daring and a security, difficulty of 1, and it is opposed. You need at least 1 success here.
Use at least 1 momentum.
I believe that I. No, that's defense. Never mind.
Here,
I get
use
I get an
1.
additional dice against to defend, but I will use a momentum. Yes.
Yep.
Can I use survival as a focus here?
No.
Nah. I figured it was worth asking. Hey,
All right,
got
you
one.
get your 1 success. Yeah, go ahead and roll me your unarmed damage, which for you, I believe, is 3.
3.
All right, so you, and this is the funny thing because the Centurions are wearing a little bit of armor. You run up to the Centurion, you sort of do kind of a Kirk chop to the neck, and the Centurion just sort of looks to you and goes, "The hell was that?"
Hey, but my attack is intense and vicious 1.
Okay, if it is vicious 1, you do 1 point of stress to them. They kind of wince a little bit, but then go, what are you doing?
Oh,
Oof.
that's smart. You
Disappointing.
smacked his elbow.
Yeah. All right, but unless you want a quick to action, it's going to be the Centurion's turn.
All them.
I genuinely love the idea that Rez just ran over and was like, haha! I was like, ow, a little, kind of.
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is the Centurion is actually going to fire back at you at point blank range. So he actually succeeds. So I need you to take, how many effects is that? That's 3 effects. I need you to take 7 damage. Of course, you do have resistance, last I knew. So how much damage does that actually do to you is the question.
Do we have resistance?
As far as I know, you do. You should have at least 2, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we had 2 resistance, I believe it was.
Might be worth me checking real quick. Let me pull up the Undine character sheet I made. Let's see. Uh-huh.
I think it's fast recovery too. I think is what we have.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, the ship has resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ship that has the extra resistance. Okay.
So no, I think I just take 7 damage.
Yeah, you just take 7 stress of damage, and that is enough for an injury. Do you wish to spend 2 momentum to avoid it?
Yes, obviously. Otherwise,
all right. So
that would be as short a session as the other one.
Yeah. So the Centurion fires at you at point blank range and just burns like this dark hole into your uniform, and it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Hey,
but
unacceptable.
It is now Tabras's turn.
Tabras is going to shoot the other one.
Okay.
Mr. Blue.
All right. That's of course going to be a control security difficulty of 2.
And I'm going to aim.
Okay.
I have the Deadeye Marksman, which reduces the difficulty of my attack by 1.
Okay.
In addition to the normal effects of aim.
Very handy talent.
Yep. And I will also use one of these little guys. All right.
Survey says no successes. Do you wish to determination this?
Let's much as I want to say yes, I have to say no.
Okay. So Tabris, I'd like to imagine you come around the corner and you feel like you're aiming real well. I guess you could technically crit, yeah, because you still can re-roll one of those die because
Oh,
you
okay.
aimed, but you would have to
Yeah.
crit here to succeed.
All right. Let's give it a shot, so to speak. Control security. Nope.
Yeah,
Just
unfortunately not a crit. So yeah, you come around the corner, you sort of do one of those side pistol shots, where you kind of aim down almost shoulder to shoulder kind of a thing. And you fire, and you're gonna hate me for this. Tabris, you were holding the pistol backwards. So it doesn't hit you, but it just sort of shoots over your shoulder. And everybody just sort of stops and looks at you and goes, "What?"
We are not very good at this.
And I think with the blue dot's turn, I think the other Centurion is going to just very slowly raise his disruptor pistol and pull the trigger at Tabris just to see what happens. But his misses, just not as bad as yours did.
Okay.
But it is now top of the initiative order, which means it is now Rez or Tabris. You all may go.
All right. Tabris is going to charge Mr. Red.
Alrighty, that's going to be a daring security opposed.
And he's going to try to just pummel him.
Okay.
And I will spend a momentum.
All you need is literally one success on this, and you hit him.
And control security. 3 dice. Focus. Wham!
All right, so you actually get 2 momentum back from that. And yeah, go ahead and roll me your unarmed, which for you, I believe, is a 5.
Ooh, we get 2 more momentum.
Yay, untapped potential.
Yeah. And then how many challenge dice? Sorry.
5, I believe.
5. So it's just 1 plus your security?
Yeah.
Okay. I will re-roll the 2 zeros.
Okay. All right, and that is more than enough with those 2 effects. As you come in from what I'm imagining is almost a cross chop. So you almost mimic Rez, but when yours hits, Red Dot actually winces in pain and sort of drops to his knees and like grips the spot where you struck him and goes, "Why? Why?" And then he sort of falls over unconscious.
Okay. We turn to the other guy and we're like, just give up.
I think
like
the
that he turned
Centurion is going
sideways.
to weigh his options, and the Centurion is just going to fire at Tabris. I think that's what's going to happen. All right, so Tabris, you're going to get hit for only 4 damage.
Okay.
And
I have proven that I am not a threat. I gain 2 stress back because I have fast recovery 2.
That you do.
And then since Tabris stole my thing, I shoot the guy with the disruptor pistol.
All right, yeah, that's going to be a control
Fine.
security difficulty of 2.
Oh, I shouldn't do this. I am not good at either of those things.
Well, I mean, you
Control
said that
or
earlier, and you
security.
rolled 2 crits, so...
Uh-huh.
I'm going to use a momentum to roll 3 dice.
Okay.
All right.
On the other hand, none of my focuses will apply here. Nope.
All right, I mean, you just need 1 more. Why don't we say you were aiming, because you did have a minor as well. So you could
so
reroll
roll
one of
once
those
more.
zeros.
Well then.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that you have minors in ground combat. Even in Starship combat, people forget you have minors.
Nope.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, so yeah, you fire with your disruptor pistol, and you miss the Centurion, unfortunately. But yeah, top of the initiative order, turn 3, or round 3 as it were. The Centurion's going to get to go again, and I think the Centurion is going to attempt to make a break for it. So he's going to spend his whole turn moving away. And what that's going to mean is if you do want to shoot him to prevent him from raising an alarm, your difficulty is now a 3 instead of a 2 because he is a range category longer than your normal shot.
All right, Tabris is going to shoot him. This lame duck that's running away. All right. And so I'm aiming. The difficulty is a 3, but goes down to a 2 because of Deadeye Marksman.
Correct.
Nice.
And I will spend all of our momentum.
You also get 2 stress back there, Tabris, because it is your turn and you have fast recovery too.
I did it. I did that.
All right, there's 3 successes, so you actually get 1 momentum back. All right, so for a disruptor pistol, it is 7 challenge dice with vicious 1.
And you get a threat.
Nice.
And I'll reroll. I don't need to reroll anything.
No, you don't need to reroll because what happens is as the beam lances out, it hits the Centurion and there's not even a breath of air or any sort of sound because you instantly vaporize the Centurion. There is no sign of him remaining.
Oh,
all right.
Tabris looks at his weapon, and she said our weapons were bad.
I mean, we didn't punch a hole in the hull when I missed earlier, so I mean, I guess I still think we could have done that, and that would have been to our advantage.
Mm-hmm. Well, we need to continue, and so how does the fast recovery work as we're going along?
Because we're technically in a new scene, you get all your stress back.
Okay.
So, but before you leave, though, what are you going to do about the Centurion you just sort of knocked out? You going to leave him there? Or?
Yeah. Well, we just need to.
We'll communicate to the Admiral. I mean, it is her ship.
Mm-hmm.
We've met our first group of resistance. One is down. The other is not here anymore. What would you like to do with this one?
I mean, if you have one of the mutineers alive, you could figure out who is the leader of the mutiny, which would make things easier for you all, I think.
Would it? Would that help us? We don't know who anybody is.
Well, I mean, you guys all kind of look alike to me.
Whew.
I'm going to pretend you didn't just say that.
Listen, what I'm going to do is I have a grease pencil here that I use when working on the engine. I'm just going to draw a mustache on him. So when you see a guy running around with a mustache, that's the mutineers. So they won't be able to hide. And I draw like a little like curly Q mustache on him.
I think the Romulan is like coming back to himself. I mean, he's still injured, but he goes, "What the fuck are you doing to me?
Who is your leader?
Who are you? Why is Starfleet here?"
I switched just for a moment to my Undine form.
Okay, so yeah, you switch back to your 3-legged Undine form, filling the corridor, and the Centurion almost shits himself in fear as he just sort of scrambles back up against the wall, holding out his arms in front of him, going, "No, I read about you once. No.
And who's leading the mutiny?
The mutant.
The mutiny. That would be Sub-Commander Natho.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Hey, Tabris. Listen, it just occurred to me that we don't really need the atmosphere. Could we not just like fill the entire engine compartment with some sort of anesthetic or poison?
Well, I mean, you should ask the Admiral about that.
Still on the line here. Yeah, you could do that. The only problem is, no, actually, you're right near atmospheric controls. In fact, and a door opens to your left. There you go.
Listen, Admiral, I know these are your people, but do you care if any of these mutineers survive?
Nope, don't give a single shit.
Oh, I mean, Tabris, we could just take the atmosphere out. It'll make there be a lot less shooting.
Well, there would be a lot less shooting and a lot less chance that other things would get damaged, and their leader doesn't seem to mind. Oh, and sorry, mister. And he points the gun at the Romulan on the ground and shoots him.
Are you aiming to disintegrate him?
Yes.
All right, then yes, the Romulan Centurion screams in pain as he is disintegrated.
I like that you apologized. I appreciate your manners in this.
Well, I mean, it is kind of his fault.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
I shouldn't have apologized. Now that you say,
I see we've
well,
reached the victim blaming part of our gaslighting.
let's go
Oof.
ahead and let's go ahead and have you check out what you can do
Or,
in the atmospheric.
or I mean, listen, I have an alternate plan, which is that you chase me down the hallways in your Undine form, while I scream, "Help me, help me!" And we see how many Romulans just join me in running until we get to the engine room.
I mean, do you want to do that, or do you just want to
In
put
fact,
them to
wait,
sleep?
isn't there, Tabers? How much do you know about Romulan physiology?
Not much.
What?
I really haven't spent a lot of time on many of the other species, but I mean, oh, he looks down at the disintegrated spot. I could have probably learned a lot from him, though.
I mean, no, he was a security guy. He wouldn't know a lot about doctor stuff.
No, I could have took him apart.
I guess. Admiral, I have a question. If you're still on the line.
Unfortunately, I am.
All right. So listen, is there like something we could pump into the atmosphere, sort of down here on deck 36 that would make everybody more susceptible to fear, like just lower their resistance a little? I'm hesitant to reduce your crew by such a large amount, considering the potential that will be trapped in this section of space for, decades.
I mean, there are a few gases that could do it, yes, I suppose, but why not just use anestazine?
Well, because will that just work? Is that how that would go? Because listen, Tabris has been having me read these Batman comics, and there's this villain called the Scarecrow, and he has like a fear toxin that he like pumps into the air. Then it makes people see their worst fear. But I thought it'd be really kind of creative use of that if we had Tabris chase me as an Undine, like in our regular shape, because that Romulan reacted like he was terrified. And I think if we made them susceptible to terror, and then we goosed that with a Federation person being chased by an Undine, that would really put the fear of God in them, as they say.
So, what you hear next is probably the sound of a head hitting a desk, followed by the mumbling of all the people that had to come rescue me. Of all the people. Of all the people. It had to be the most eccentric, insane Undine ever to exist in this godforsaken universe. I deserve this. You know what I should have done? I shouldn't have been an admiral. I should have listened to my mother. I should have gone into politics. I should have. I could be in the council right now, but no, I'm here on this godforsaken ship, letting two Undine destroy everything. And you hear her voice become less mumbled. All right, gentlemen, just I can't stop you putting any other gas in, but I think anestazine would work best here.
I think we should just put them to sleep, Rez.
All right.
I mean, that's a really cool idea. Maybe we can play with that later on Deep Space October.
I mean, I hope not. I like those people.
Well, I mean, it could still be fun. It could be. There's a thing called April Fools.
Ooh, that might be. I mean, that would be pretty good. We don't. Yeah, but see, here's the thing: if we do it on like Deep Space October, there's like a whole station full of people that might come up with ideas that could hurt you. Whereas on the Romulan ship, we were gonna it was gonna be like a short term. Anyway, yeah. We'll just knock them out. It's fine.
Okay.
All right, so Rez, when you step into the room of atmospheric control, it's a fairly simple console that's tied to the life support systems. You could pretty much pump anything into any deck if you really wanted to. So what are you pumping where?
Anestazine. And well, in theory, I want to get, like, we're on the same deck as engineering, right?
At this point, yes.
Yeah, so we'll just knock out the entire deck. And that way, what we'll do is we'll find all the places that she marked that they were, and I'll draw little mustaches on them. So that later, when she has to figure out who all the mutineers are, she'll be able to tell.
Ah, yes, the mustache approach. I love it.
Mhm.
So this is going to be a control and a engineering on your part, Rez. Tabris, you're assisting with a control medicine to get the dosage right. Difficulty on this will be a 4.
This is one of those times you might want to use your determination.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you need
I
is
don't
more
know.
fighting.
Listen, I don't know how this happened, but I have a value that says I have the knowledge of the gods. I think it was our last first contact where we let those people declare us gods.
Yeah,
And
that sounds right.
I think I had to
Mhm.
challenge a value, and so instead of becoming there's a lot of things I could learn, it became I have the knowledge of the gods! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark!
Hmm.
So I'm gonna use that determination. I'm gonna use my determination and apply the value I have the knowledge of the gods to figure out how to do this and get 2 free successes.
That's
Sure.
awesome.
One dice, which like this is not regular.
I got you one.
Would espionage be a
Nah, I can't
focus?
give you espionage here, unfortunately.
Oh well.
You just need to get one success on your own.
All
Well, I
right, so
got
that
2.
is a grand total of 5 successes. So you get a momentum right back. And yeah, you actually see and hear a Nestazine being pumped into the deck you're on. And after a moment or two, the Admiral gets back on the comms with you and says, I'm reading completely knocked out life signs from here to the engine core. You should have smooth sailing.
Also, would you like us to do something with the mutineers? Like, do you want us to like gather them all in one place, or?
I mean, if you wouldn't mind, that would make my job easier.
I mean, I'm strong. I'm apparently not strong enough to fight people hand to hand, but I'm strong enough to carry a few
You
Romulans so
just
that
need to learn how to throw a punch.
we can lock
That's
them in
all.
the. I don't want to talk
We'll
about
work
it.
on it.
I don't want to talk about it. We can gather a bunch of. It's this unwieldy human body. I swear.
Mm.
Anyway, so we collect all the other Romulans that were marked as mutineers, and we carry them to engineering.
Yeah.
And I like the grease pencil idea.
Yeah, and draw little mustaches on them all.
All right, so when you arrive at the engineering room, it's actually kind of different than what you kind of see in TNG. In the modern Romulan ship of the year 2414, there's just sort of a big old globe in the middle of engineering with almost like a gyroscopic lensing effects that sort of surround it and keep the core contained. And all around in the spaces next to terminals, all around the core, are, well, knocked out Romulans. One you do see has the rank of a sub commander, probably Natho, but you have complete and unrestricted access to the core, Resin Tabris. So what will you do with it?
I would like to reroute control and lock out to the Admiral's ready room, and then lock out override functions from engineering, so that the only place that you can issue a command is either from the bridge or from um, or from the
captain's
ready
room.
room.
Okay. So as you do that, the Admiral confirms, yeah, I have control now. But didn't you have an idea that needed you down in the engine room anyway?
Well, yeah, but that was like our last resort. Like, we couldn't think of any other way to break out of the subspace anomaly. Like, then we would use the ability to generate an exotic particle and bust up subspace, so that the subspace spring would no longer have any effect on us.
Well,
But you know what, Rez? I think that might be the best idea altogether, because that way nobody else falls into it.
I mean, I guess. But again,
Tabris is talking to him, like gathering up all the bodies and marking them with the grease pencil.
nice.
But Tabris, here's the thing: like, if we can't take the Satai through tear into the fluidic space, it's like a decades-long trip for them to get back to a place where they'd be able to use their warp engines.
Mm.
Unless, what if I overrode the safety protocols and fed as much energy as I could to their disruptor shield so that they can? Oh no, they're not going to be able to jump to warp with no drive, because we're going to use their drive to break up subspace. Whew. What if we, Travis, hear me out on this. What if we attached the Satai to the Troust by biograppler and then essentially suctioned onto their hull real close? Could we extend the shields far enough and get our warp bubble large enough that you'd be able to to drag her along? for a couple of light years.
There's a pause. Then Trouse says, "Yeah, I could do it, but I only have one condition.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to eat my chicken for a week."
We did eat the chicken.
No.
That's not a condition.
That last port we stopped in, you have no idea how much chicken I have in my storage hold right now.
Hey, it's way better than the Nutri paste I've been eating in my quarters alone. Reading engineering magazines.
You eat alone? I always eat with Troust. You should join us.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a great thing that we should definitely.
All right, so you have a deal, Troust.
All right, well, just generate that particle and let's get the hell out of here.
Arnie. In which case, I recalibrate the singularity drive to generate. I guess I'm looking for an omega particle at this point. So I reconfigure her mass to plasma imaging dampener so that it actually knocks two regular gravimetric particles together, creating hopefully just a couple of omega particles, which I center in the singularity drive, so that when we eject it towards the center of the subspace anomaly, it won't immediately. What do I want? Explode.
I think I get what you're going for. Yeah.
And Tabris is going to get back to the Troust right before this is happening, so that he can help surf the waves, so to speak.
All right. So, if you will sort of imagine, I'm trying to figure out what I should do. Let's just do theater of the mind for this one. So we sort of see an external shot of the Troust and the Satai. And what we see is coming out of the Satai's engine block is that globe that contains the singularity. And it's flung towards the point in space where the Subspace Spring is anchored. And after a moment, we see the Troust come in and land on the hull of the Satai and anchor itself down. Moments later, the core detonates and causes this white and purple shockwave that emanates out from where the spring was anchored. And for this, Tabris, very important role for you. I need you to give me a control and a con, difficulty of 5. The Troust will assist you with an engine's con here. Actually, I think a structure con, because you're anchored to the Satai here. So yeah, a structure con would be better.
Okay. And what am I rolling again?
You are rolling a control and a con.
All right, control con. We're going to go with the Glory Hound value.
Okay.
To use up my determination. And then I'll give you...
Troust got you one.
I'll give you these 2 and a threat for another die.
Should only be the 2 momentum.
Oh, it is just the 2. Okay. Control con 3 dice. Ho ho.
Hey,
that is more than sufficient. 6 successes total. So yeah, you end up sort of flaring out the phalanges on the back of the Troust to sort of catch 7 actually. Oh yeah, because the Troust. So what happens is you sort of make a wind sail of sorts, and as the Troust sort of catches the wind, as it were, you sort of ride the wave until eventually the wave begins to peter out, and you come back to a full stop. But your engines are now working properly again.
All right. Satai, where would you like to go? Where can we drop you?
Just take me anywhere with a repair dock. And the Troust chips in all nice and chipper. Ooh, let's take him to Deep Space October.
Sounds good.
That sounds great.
That sounds amazing. Let's do it.
How long will the trip take, Troust?
We could get there in 4 human days.
So Admiral, since we helped you and Troust really did go over and above,
We'd
I
like to
would
invite all
love
your
to
mutineers to
invite.
chicken.
I'd love to invite you and your bridge crew to come over and have chicken with us.
You just hear another head hit the desk, and she goes, "I hate my life. I should have just stayed here. I should have just let the mutineers kill me." And as we pull back from her ready room and we just sort of the external view of the ship, that's where we're going to end today's session. Always a pleasure playing with you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure.
Wow, I'm
We
bad at
like to have
combat.
fun.
I forgot how bad Rez is at combat. He's
Yeah.
so bad at it.
So to sort of show you how things could have gone there, let me put us back on this screen for a moment. So the reason I actually had this screen set up was because I had the Satai if you didn't help the Admiral for some reason, or you let the Admiral get taken for something, the Satai was actually going to roll. And as you can see, it's pretty beefy if you look at what it's rolling.
It's enormous.
Yeah, so it would have been an interesting space fight, but obviously you guys decided to assist the Admiral and keep her safe, so we didn't run into that problem. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end the YouTube recording. Twitch, stick around for a little bit longer because we're going to find somebody to raid. But YouTube, we'll see you later.